loss, one win less than Sam Darnold. If you said that's his season this year, is that crazy? Now, certainly Sam Darnold's 14-3 season a little bit crazy, but if you just said, hey, all you got to do, win one less game than Sam Darnold. If you phrase it like that, I'm in. Vikings over 12.5 wins at plus 600.
Wow. Well done. Well, I mean, the Vikings do have experience conquering Europe.
Pillaging.
So those two games might be easier.
Yeah, you're right. Who dominated Europe more than the Vikings?
And they just showed up. Imagine you're enjoying a nice picnic by a
you're just
river.
Roasting a chicken over a fire, and all of a sudden some Vikings show up.
An axe just slams into your face. All right. My first card.
Two of hearts. Okay. Not ideal against a dealer showing a jack.
Okay. Oh no. New England Patriots over 10.5.
But this is an easy case.
Yeah, the case is that well, we once watched Mike Vrabel coach a team up that had Ryan Tannehill at the helm. Now, Ryan Tannehill did not have a ton of success outside of those couple of years with Arthur Smith and Mike Vrabel. Perhaps Drake May, who has much more talented. Drake May, who, still kind of learning the quarterback position, which is always a scary thing to hear. And Drake May with structure and not a brand new head coach. And you would think a team that's going to help support him and help that growth. Now, I think we have some question about the offensive lineman they draft. I think we have some question about Steph Diggs. I think we have some questions about what the defense will look like right away. But that being said, if you're going to play the Patriots, I think you do play a little ceiling. Now, if we get to 10.5, I think we're probably having to do some shopping with division prices.
Yeah.
But the Bills might just walk away with it. The Bills could
win.
They're plus 195 to be the number one seed in the conference.
Yeah,
that
crazy.
means basically 13, 14 wins. So yeah, okay. You talked me into it. Now, I'm also probably lying if I'm telling you I'm betting this. My hard-earned.
Pulling the curtain back, Ryan. Mike Vrabel, back-to-back 11-win seasons, 2020, 2021.
Once was a good coach. I saw he's playing in the charity golf tournament this year too. So how focused could he be on winning?
I was just dealt the queen of spades. So I'm sitting on a 14 against a jack. Not ideal, but let's see what a queen of spades represents. San Francisco 49ers under 8.5 at plus 255. My nemesis, the San Francisco 49ers. They're a fun team to fade. I mean, look at Brandon Ayuk. Who knows what we get out of him? And just starting there. And then Christian McCaffrey. I know he's looking good and healthy right now, but do you really feel confident in Christian McCaffrey?
When's their bye week? He'll need a trip to Germany.
And Brock Purdy, after you've paid him, we haven't seen Brock Purdy with money, Ryan. What if he was this happy-go-lucky farm kid. All of a sudden the money gets to him. He's rolling around in his Bugatti, blasting music. I could see this
seems unlikely, but I don't think the money getting to his head is what's going to get him. And I think it's the massive target that being a high-priced quarterback puts on your back.
Well, and the 49ers cornerback, Lenore, was just arrested Thursday for allegedly resisting a peace officer per TMZ. So I think when it goes wrong with the 49ers, it goes wrong pretty bad. I still think it was crazy that they came in as the favorite in the NFC West. That market's shifted a decent amount.
Yeah, we moved that.
We were all over the Rams at 2-1 in the NFC West. So yeah, I'll happily take some 49ers alt unders. All right, Kramer, I'm sitting on a 14. What do you got?
Well, a 10 of spades just popped out here.
Okay.
Minnesota Vikings under 6.5.
I wish I got that one.
This is the more fun way to play the Vikings. Now you look at the division. Could the Bears, even though we warned ourselves, we went in a time machine last year. We warned ourselves in the future.
Kramer put a calendar notice on our shared work calendar. Bears regression.
Beware of the Bears. It was like memento. I'm writing it on my arm to remember it. But the Bears could very well take a step forward. We know the Lions are pretty good and strangely getting disrespected just because they lost a couple assistant coaches. And as much as I hate the Packers do have a certain floor that I think exists because of their run game, their defense. I'm not going to give Jordan Love any credit. I couldn't believe he was on the Beeson graphic earlier, by the way. That was personally insulting. So yeah, would I love to in the same way that I think anytime you don't like a team that is catching hype, you, of course you want to play the ladder or the shoot,
and even Minnesota to have the lowest wins in the league. Maybe that
feels aggressive because O'Connell just seems like he's squeezing wins with Mullins and the Pasternak. I think he'll figure it out. But they did want to have Daniel Jones on this roster.
That's what I keep coming back to on my negative Vikings thoughts.
So yeah, plus 300. Let's do it. All right.
Okay, Kramer, we're up against it time-wise. Let's play these hands out. Right. You're sitting on a 12 against a Jack. I'm on a 14. Yeah, of course. Hit me.
Nice.
6.
20.
All right, so I got a 20 against the Jack. Kramer, you got a 12. Hit.
21.
All right. Flip it over.
This is a hell
Flip it over. What do we got?
Omen.
Oh, dealer sitting on a 16 and an 8. Dealer bust. LFG. That is a great omen, Ryan, because we are going to be playing some blackjack. Next week, Thursday, live from the Circa. We'll be there. It's going to be a super fun show. 4th of July Eve. Canceled date night, indeed. When we return, we'll talk about some games on Saturday, including MLB from our MLB expert.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. 2 minutes twice a day, making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear, because for years he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
It's time to kick back and listen to the sports page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. 330-707-4202. Get in. Talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here. And here is Western Reserve Radio. Oh, Dave Clark, a lot to get to, a lot to talk about. I know it's kind of a down type of the sports season, if you want to call it that, downtime. Well, obviously, we had the NBA draft this past week. Mm-hmm. The OK City Thunder won the NBA title Sunday night.
Right.
Halliburton blew out the ACL. That was the risk of playing with that. We saw Durant do pretty much the same thing, trying to play with the strained hamstring or strained calf.
Yeah. And was it that or was it Achilles?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it was Achilles.
Every time they had, I'd be skeptical of anybody playing. It happens every time.
Yeah.
Every time somebody goes with a strain, Achilles, or they'll say calf muscle, and they go ahead and play, they have torn their Achilles.
Yeah.
Every single time. And I just think you just sit it out. I understand.
No, he
wanted to play.
He wanted to play because I think he knew. And I think when you look at that game, very unfortunate for Indiana to lose him, because had he stayed healthy and played the way that game went, Indiana had a remote chance maybe of pulling that game out, or at least I would have liked to seen it.
Yeah, because they have a thing of they have back and forth runs all the time. So, when he's in the game, that might happen. They get a nice 12-0 run. Anything happens with both teams. So might have made it a little bit more interesting with him in the game. But I don't know. It just seems like I'm trying to think. I know Kevin Durant, I'm trying to think who's the football player that went on and played. I can't remember who it was. Not just recently, too. Then I'm going to go ahead and play. It's just a strained calf. And they were saying don't play, and then he did tear his Achilles. I forgot who it was, though. And that's what happens.
Well, Durant, it happened to Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
We saw that.
Yep.
Halliburton happened to him. Now he's out really all through next year.
Yeah.
He won't be back maybe for the next year's playoffs if he's lucky.
Right. Yeah. See, that's the thing about it. And he's such a big part of the team. That's a major, major loss. And then the pressure of I got to get healthy even faster. And sometimes they come back too early. So hopefully that won't happen.
We'll see what happens with the landscape of the Eastern Conference in the NBA next year or later this year. But the injuries playing a big part of how that's going to look, because now Boston, who traded Porzingis, they also did not sign Drew Holiday.
Right, I see that.
So that release, was it $120 million?
Those two guys.
Those two guys alone. Boston saved buku money. Now they're even talking about trading William White, could be on which blew me away, but evidently they're looking at maybe making other changes. But Porzingis will be in Atlanta, and Drew Holiday, they just did not pick up the contract, let him go.
So now he's unrestricted.
So he's unrestricted. He's a free man. So he could do whatever he wants, go wherever he wants. I'm sure someone will pick him up.
I'm not even worried about that.
We'll see what happens. So that's going to change. When you break down the NBA Eastern Conference and the landscape, with Halliburton now missing the season, Jason Tatum obviously out, you almost have to take Indiana and Boston. I don't think they're going to be able to contend for the top spot in the conference. I mean, they'll be good teams, but
you can't sit here and automatically say Boston's number one like we have before.
Like we have in the past.
Yeah, and Atlanta's a surprise team. Well, you don't know how you can say that too now with no Halliburton.
Right.
Where is they at? I don't know where you place them. The Knicks.
Yeah, where does Indiana? Right.
Are in a good spot right now. The Nets are too. As a young team, they get the right combination of people, but the Knicks is in the right spot. I still think they need to add somebody. And it doesn't have to be a big name. Just they need to add somebody.
Yeah, they need it.
They need something.
They need something.
Another type scorer and guy that can play defense. They have to. So.
And see, this is now obviously the Nets with all the draft picks, and they actually used all draft picks this past. I believe they had 5?
Yeah.
And they did.
And they used them.
The Nets are probably in a rebuilding mode, and they probably get. I guess they were critical because they drafted, I believe, look it up, but I believe that they drafted 3 guards or 4 guards.
Yeah. You might be right with 4.
So people are trying to figure out, do the Nets know what they're doing? Because why would you draft 4 guards?
Yeah. Unless you got something in plan in the trades. They might have something set up. We never know. That's why I don't like those comments like what you're saying, Simmons going nuts early. That's a stupid trade. I mean, I think you need to just be quiet on it because you never know what that team's plan is. And we done heard it in the past about people saying that's a bad move, this is a bad move, and turned out the guys turning we done seen them in NFL turn into Hall of Famers.
Well, yeah, basically, when you look, I think the ultimate problem you have with the draft, especially the NBA draft, is what always kind of makes me laugh. We always talk about how you want to grade the draft. That's the typical thing. What they do is they have the draft, and every sports site will grade out the draft.
Right. Yeah, I love that.
Which I always love because it means nothing.
Right.
You have no idea.
At all.
Especially in the NBA, because we've talked about it time and time again. Some of the guys are from overseas, so you don't even know how good they are. Or they're one and done. They've played a year. I don't even know, maybe 2 years, but pretty much all these guys are all one and done. They're young. They're always 19, 20. They haven't even developed yet, fully developed. So you really don't know what you have.
Right.
Denver drafted Luka. The Joker. Denver drafted the Joker. I believe he was a second round pick in 2014.
Right.
And when you read his bio, the analysis, he was big, he was slow, lumbering. They thought this guy's a project at best. And he probably figured this guy will be a bench guy. He'll come in.
An added guy.
Right. And body in there to relieve the center.
See what hard work does. Go and get, the help he needed for his footwork and working on that. Change that guy, a completely different guy.
Totally. It's a whole different player.
Yep. You just can't do it.
You just can't, especially the NBA. Not that the NFL has, the book on it. Oh, yeah, we know what we're doing. How many undrafted players, end up going to the Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
Or end up being all pros? A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
That's the thing about it. And we're not kidding. We're not talking about a few. A lot.
A lot.
Yep. Didn't even get drafted.
No. You get these guys that are undrafted, and you sit there and go, wow, these guys are like really good. They're all pro. They're great players.
Or get drafted by somebody and he's an extreme bust. And then he goes to another team. This guy is great. People got to look at everything. Sometimes it's the situation. The team concept does not fit what you can actually do and your talents. Doesn't work, so you look like a bust, but you really aren't. As soon as you get into a system that fits your skill set, all of a sudden you're great. That's what I'm saying. And this is not really, I've never looked at Baker Mayfield as a bust ever. He played injured in Cleveland, but to be honest with you, when he got to Kevin Stefanski did a good job because he's a pretty good offensive coordinator. So you could see the development of Baker coming around. Then he plays with that injury and he shouldn't. And then really it's not the coaching staff, but it's the upper personnel that just got tired of waiting and let him go. He gets with not Shanahan, but he gets with our guy in L.A. first. No, I think he went to Carolina first.
He went to Carolina.
And I think Casellas was the offensive coordinator there. The one, I don't think he wasn't a head coach yet.
No.
So look, he wasn't too bad there. He went to the Rams, get off the plane. 2 days later, he has to start a game, beats my Raiders, and plays well. Good. Yeah. And then he gets to Tampa. Cohen, great on offense. Look what happened. Transformed this guy into and it really didn't transform because he was always an energy guy. He was a guy that did not lack confidence anyway. All it did is just redefine his confidence. That guy threw 41 touchdowns last year, if people don't realize. And really had Tampa Bay. That's why you see our guy who we talked about this guy for years as a head coach when he was in the Jets, and I forgot who else, wherever he was at. And he was always on the hot seat. And Tampa
Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
Oh.
Always on the hot seat. Terrible. He's this, blah, blah. He gets a renewed contract along with the GM.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Jason, I guess it's like.
Yep.
And Todd Bowles have received, very deservedly so, contract extensions over multiple years. Poor Todd Bowles.
The guy that the Jets gave up.
Well, yeah.
But see, that's their organization. They can't coach.
That's the Jets. Like, look at Aaron Rodgers is now bashing the Jets, how dysfunctional it was. Hey, Aaron, I could have saved you that heartache. You shouldn't have ever gone there because they're dysfunctional.
Yeah, and you know what? He said he listened. He didn't listen, but he looked at the thing and he thought it might even be the same. Brett Favre went to the Jets. I'll go to the Jets. And maybe I can end up in the Vikings. That didn't happen. But the thing about it, he forgot the last few words that Brett Favre said before he got out of there. He said, boy, what a rough season. They were so dysfunctional.
Yeah.
He said it way back then. And they have never corrected that situation. But I guess you won't as long as Woody is the owner who's going to meddle. Now, if he's not going to meddle, maybe it'd be different. But that guy meddles in everything.
Well, it's the reporting structure is fault. Is you have the GM reports to Woody and the head coach reports to Woody. Instead of most organization, the GM, the coach reports to the GM, not the Jets. So it's almost set up for, to me, it's just set up to fail. And the Jets just...
Because you're reporting to a guy who's not a full football guy.
No, he's not. I think he kind of wants to be, but he's not. And he thinks he is. That's the most dangerous
That's the
part.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be. There's nothing wrong with that, with anybody. But to be honest and say, you know what? I'm not a full football guy. I need somebody in here that knows this game inside and out. And I want to be a part of this and be in it. But I need somebody, I need that mouthpiece that needs to be in here. Oh, no. Not Woody Johnson. No way. I'm the mouthpiece, and he's just been going in a revolve. He didn't give Bowles a chance. I remember he had a team that was not talented, and they were playing.
He got
great.
8-8. Yeah, Todd Bowles. So I think it was one of the posts. I know it was one of the New York sports writers. I'm not sure if it was a Daily News or Post writer, but it was one of the writers in New York. Basically, said that with Todd Bowles went 8-8. They should make him the coach of the year. In fact, he said, make him the coach of the decade. He goes, anybody that go 8-8 with that team, with Woody, Johnson and the whole with the team.
He had all kind of quarterbacks.
He had all kinds.
He had all kind of stuff.
He said,
still got 8.
They ought to make him a coach of the year. He goes, coach of the decade. He said it was unbelievable.
He got a great thing going down in Tampa. They didn't won, I think, 4 or 5 consecutive NFC South championships.
I believe, we'll look it up, but right. And and
they're getting better every year.
They get better.
They had a good draft. If everything works out according to the abilities of what they say. We don't know what's going to happen, but if it works out, those guys and the free agents they picked up, boy, they're going to be dangerous.
They'll probably win the division again. And they gave, it was a couple years ago, they really played Detroit, lost to Detroit in the playoffs in the second round.
Yeah, but they played them well.
Really good.
Yep.
And you have promise there. They've got a good offensive system around Baker Mayfield. Baker's playing really good for Tampa Bay. They're a good football team. They're solid. They've won that. We'll look how many times they have won that division. Now, granted, it's not the strongest division because you have the Carolina Panthers who've just that's dysfunctional because that owner just wants to fire everybody.
And now I've read, I didn't read, but listen to that same show I was talking to, that they were saying that now he's trying to stay away.
Yeah.
And allow Canales to
leave him leave him alone.
They said that he did that for the last 8 games of the season.
And they played good.
And look how good
they look good.
It looked like a different team.
Right.
The core what's his name? The first round pick, we thought he's too short to be the quarterback. It comes in from Alabama.
Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
he looks
great.
He looked great.
The whole team looked
They
really
all
good.
thought he was a bust.
Whole thing.
But
now, can he do it for a whole season?
Right. The owner kind of took his foot off the brake and kind of stayed away and let these guys just coach. Let the GM do his job. Stay out of it. He was so involved with meeting after meeting after meeting. He fired poor Frank Reich.
What did you call him? You used to call him. You used to call him Steinbrenner.
Yeah,
he was Steinbrenner.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he's George Steinbrenner reincarnated.
Yeah,
the '80s.
Yeah, he was firing guys left and right. No time. He don't give them no time.
I read a book about the Yankees, the 1980 Yankees. Bill Madden wrote this fantastic book about Steinbrenner. I've got to look. I don't know the exact title, but it was the Yankees in the 1980s. Fantastic book. Steinbrenner was just totally impatient, and he fired Yogi Berra. Started the 85 season because they got off to a slow start, and Steinbrenner thought you have to win every game.
Yeah,
and it's baseball, 162 games, and doesn't understand the ebb and the flow of.
Right.
And he's just constant and meeting and firing and getting rid of people and then changing the lineup. He just didn't know what he wanted to do. So he kept bringing people in. He paying these overpriced players who weren't really performing well. And the team was just going nowhere.
Right.
And it was just chaos, total chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like year in and year out. They would win games, but they couldn't beat the Blue Jays. They couldn't really get over the hump. They had a great team, but Steinbrenner just constant, involved with meetings and calling the managers during the game. What are you doing this for?
Right.
He called Lou Piniella during a game. Tommy John was pitching with the Yankees, was going to pitching against Don Sutton for the Angels.
Right.
And so Steinbrenner calls Piniella in the dugout, and he says, why don't you point out to the umpire that Sutton's obviously putting something on the ball? He's putting he's going, he's spitballs. That's what, and so he's telling Piniella, why don't you go ahead and point it out to that umpire? Because I think, it's Don Sutton's doctoring the ball. And so Piniella goes, okay, George, just so you know, we're up 2-0. And what do you think Tommy John's been doing? Because Tommy John was almost, I think, in his 40s. Sutton was also, they're both 40-year-old pitchers, old guys, tail end of the career. Great pitchers in their day, but they're older, so they know the tricks of the trade.
Right.
And they're both doctoring the ball, and they're both getting by. But obviously, and the umpires know it, and they're not doing anything about it.
Right.
Because they both know they know both pitchers are doing it. And so Piniella goes, well, George, if I point it out, what do you think they're going to do with Tommy John? They're going to have him out of the game. Because as soon as I pointed out that Don Sutton's doctoring the ball,
they got to watch both.
Then they're going to say, okay, Lou, since you've pointed out Sutton's doing it, we know Tommy John's doing it. We'll have to throw both of them out. So he goes, we're winning 2-0. So leave it alone.
Right.
But he goes, that's Steinbrenner is just constantly involved every day on the minutia. And he was just
that's Jerry Jones.
And that's Jerry. That's what he means.
Just leave the cow. I mean, I don't know how they still got talent. But it was one time as a season. I can't remember the season. But I'm talking about the Cowboys was loaded.
Yeah.
And it was twice it happened. Once when they had T.O., but once this one season was when they had Dez Bryant. They was loaded. I think they had everything. They had the backs. They had everything. The receivers, tight ends. The defense was quick and fast. But Jerry was just meddling them right out of the playoffs. Those were some teams that should have had an opportunity to get to a Super Bowl. He had enough talent in some of those teams to definitely get to the Super Bowl. But they didn't. Because he just wanted to be the guy. Because that's, he couldn't take back seat to all the publicity that Jimmy Johnson was getting. But it was true because when he brought Jimmy Johnson in, and he did sit back and say, okay, Jimmy, put together your team. Well, Jimmy came in there and started cutting guys that you didn't think would get cut. I still remember the running back. I always talk about him. That played at Pitt. I can't think of his name. His last name was Lewis. But I can't think. He played running back. He's one of the best running backs from Pitt. And he came in and he fumbled 3 times in a row. Now, he was the Dallas Cowboys starting running back. And Jimmy Johnson said, you're cut. And cut him. Jerry Jones had a fit. But Jimmy did what Jimmy wanted to do. He cut that guy. Transformed that team in from a 1-15 team that a couple years later they were going to the Super Bowl. By his changing of his roster the way he wanted it to fit. Jerry let him do it. And then seen the success. And then seen all the publicity they coming to Jimmy. They talked to Jerry, but they was talking to Jimmy much.
Jimmy did it.
Yeah, look at what Jimmy did. He did not like. He got jealous about that.
They got into the fight.
He got into that, and then next thing you know, Jimmy was gone.
They won 1 Super Bowl under Switzer,
and they won by default because the talent
was Johnson's team.
It was his team, and the talent was just unbelievable on that team.
That team was loaded.
It was loaded,
and they should have probably won 2 or 3 more Super Bowls. If they kept Jimmy Johnson,
I think they win at least 2 more.
And the other caveat that always jumps to the mind with Dallas Cowboys in the 71 Super Bowl, had you started Roger Staubach,
you win that.
Win that easy. You would have beat the Colts.
You would have beat the Colts
because you started Craig Morton because you didn't think Staubach was ready.
And the thing about that, even Craig Morton, who could move around a little bit,
it was all right.
They still got to him.
Yeah, they did.
They could still get to him. They wouldn't have got to Staubach.
No.
He was just too much movement. He would have gave him problems. He'd have ran the ball, and he would have threw the ball down the field.
Roger Staubach was.
They would have won.
They would have won that game.
Yeah, they would have won the Super Bowl.
They lost 16-13.
Yeah,
on a horrible turf to play.
And Jim O'Brien
kicked the 30-yard field, whatever it was.
Yeah, I remember vividly. That's when I was a major Cowboy fan.
Yeah,
I was Raiders, Cowboys. Those were my teams. And boy,
you had a thing for the silver.
Yeah, it was something about it.
It's something with that silver.
Yeah, I loved them those 2 teams. And then
the Raiders.
When Jerry got rid of Jimmy, I was just like, I just lost it. Yeah. What are you doing? I could never come back to them.
No.
I tried to. I said, well, they got Barry Switzer. I used to like Oklahoma, so
he was college.
I couldn't get into him no more. Every time I looked at Jerry Jones, he made me sick to the stomach. And I was just done with him. And immediately I said, what could I do? What other team do I like in the NFC? And I said, and the first thing I could think, hey, you're right down here. This is where you playing your college ball. You practice on the field with these guys.
Eagles.
And it was the Eagles. And I started liking them. And they wasn't even big time yet.
No.
But the talent that was coming in, when I seen Reggie
White.
I knew he came from the USFL. And then Jerome Brown. I said, these guys is going to be tremendous. Yeah. And they sure was.
That's the music. Tampa Bay's won 4 consecutive NFC South Division titles, 2020 to 2023. Saturday morning sports page back after a real quick timeout. Western Reserve Radio.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
If I could be you,
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
if you could find a way,
To get inside each other's mind.
walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Ohio, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who play high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Saturday morning, coming back at you. Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. 330-707-4202. Get in and talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here. Here is Western Reserve Radio. Dave Clark, we're this is the kind of year we can get talking about anything, which is great. Hodgepodge of just all type of different topics. But Tampa Bay, we did talk a little bit. They did extend Bowles, and I guess his name is GM.
Yep.
So they got deservedly so. Poor Todd Bowles to me. Low key, great guy, never gets up with, he puts up with the press. Never gets upset. Never raises his voice. And even on the field, he coaches. I never see him screaming or yelling at a player. He never even yells and screams at the refs. He just goes over to the ref and talks to them. But I never see the guy getting unhinged.
Yeah,
Not at all.
I've never seen him unhinged.
Low key, the players love playing for the guy. I think he's really underrated, really a good coach.
Yep.
I would like him. I would like to see him.
I'm glad he got it.
Me too. I would like to see him win a Super Bowl some year.
I know they was talking about he was a candidate back in the day where the Browns job got passed over. He'd be a guy that would. I just think he gets guys to play for him. Now
Yeah.
I actually do think Cleveland got a good coach.
No, I think Stefanski's a good coach.
It's just another owner that needs to stay out of it. He's another guy.
Haslam will spend money.
He will.
I think in his defense, he means well. He's not like tight, cheap. He wants to spend money, and he wants to make the team good. He wants to build a new stadium in Brook Park, make it a dome. So he's got a multi-purpose thing going on, and people are complaining like everything. But always complaining.
Until they get it and be loving it,
right? But I like the fact that the guy tries. Granted, and then I guess we didn't talk a little bit about the collusion, the NFL collusion with the contracts, where what happened was they got into a situation that they believe that the NFL, Goodell, is colluded with the owners and not giving guaranteed money.
Especially ever since the Watson situation,
right.
You don't want that to ever happen again.
So Goodell went to the owners and said, we can't give guaranteed contracts. And now they
can still do the partial, right? Or they're trying to get rid of that too.
Well,
you know how they give guys $190 million, but
it said
70 is guaranteed,
Here's the deal. The NFLPA recently faced a collusion grievance case where the arbitrator found evidence that the NFL encouraged teams to limit fully guaranteed contracts.
Okay.
But ultimately did not find sufficient evidence to award damages to the players involved. And a lot of this was where it goes back to how Haslam gave Watson the guaranteed money, and players like Lamar Jackson and a few of the other quarterbacks wanted all guaranteed money, and the owners wouldn't give them the guaranteed money. And then they're saying that Goodell was involved in telling the owners, we don't want to give guaranteed contracts.
Right.
So that's what they were saying, but they basically said at the end, that at the end, I guess they don't feel that there's enough to award the players money. It said here, the ruling, this is the arbitrator, Christopher Droney, found evidence suggesting the NFL encouraged teams to avoid fully guaranteed deals, but did not find enough evidence to support awarding damages to the players.
Right.
So they said, obviously they believe there's practices going on, but it didn't, I guess, trigger where they would have to pay pay damages to the players that were involved with not getting guaranteed deals.
Yeah. And you probably don't want to give it because I think you put your game, which is the ultimate now. I mean, they just got everything financially together. Everything is together with the NFL. If you start giving complete guaranteed contracts all over the board, I think there'll start to be a financial situation and problem in the NFL if that happens. They got to keep it like they have it, and still give. You give the guys the partial guarantee like they've been doing.
They have so much money. They do. They make more money by far than any of the other ones. And yet, look at
I think they could probably handle, but I just wonder, 32 teams, you get your big-time quarterbacks. I can see it now. $300 million to Burrow, give Mahomes $350 million. It just be crazy.
You know what I think is occurring, though? And I think you're going to see this, and this more or less, when you break it down, this impacts the quarterbacks more than anyone else.
Yeah, that's the main ones.
But I think they should try to give more guaranteed money to the other players. They don't. The NFL contracts are not as good as baseball or basketball.
No.
Here's an example of, for example, Kyrie Irving is going to sign. It looks like he's opting out of his current contract, but he's going to re-sign with Dallas, 3-year, $119 million deal. So he wants to stay with Dallas. Now he's going to miss a good part of this year because of the injury he hurt. I believe he had the ACL.
Yeah.
So he's going to re-sign with Dallas because he wants to stay there. Now, granted, he probably took a little bit of a hit money-wise because of the injury, but he's still getting almost $40 million a year for 3 years. And it's all guaranteed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no one's upset. No one's saying, poor Kyrie's not getting paid. He's getting a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he wants to stay with Dallas now with Cooper Flagg being there.
Yeah, and you still got Anthony Davis.
And you got Anthony Davis. And then and Jason Kidd doesn't want, the rumors, and he's going to go to the Knicks. Well, Dallas won't let him go to the Knicks. I don't think he really cares to go to the Knicks. Look at the difference he's going to pay in taxes.
Right.
You realize that Texas doesn't have, I believe, a state tax. New York's got a hell of a state tax.
Right. I know.
So kids like saying, I think I'll just stay here. I got Cooper Flagg coming in, and, Cooper Flagg's all happy because he doesn't have to be the centerpiece of the team.
Yeah. That's going to help him a lot.
And it's going to help him a lot. And he's got Anthony Davis, and he'll have Kyrie to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, he's going into the best situation, and he even said it. I mean, he says, this is great for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't wait to play for Dallas, and I like the deal that I've got set up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you look at that end of it, you got, he's the contract situation there as far as, with Kyrie coming in is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And once he gets off the injury and he comes back, he'll probably be ready, maybe be ready by January, February of next year, right in time for the playoffs.
Right. Right.
And he'll get in playoff shape. Dallas is going to be a pretty good team. And then Cooper Flagg is going to develop and continue to play, everybody's got high hopes that Cooper Flagg's going to have a great impact on the Dallas Mavericks with Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a Maverick fan, you got to be like, hey, this is going to be a great year. Maybe we can overcome the Luka Doncic trade,
right?
Who they still want to fire the GM down there.
Yeah, they probably still want to, but they should let that go now.
Let it go. You have Cooper Flagg, and I think you're going to be a pretty good team out west.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how long Kyrie be out, but when they come back, it could be full strength with all those guys. That's a team to reckon with.
Going to be a good team.
Yep. And one thing, they did have some good bench players that could definitely fill in, and give you some backcourt help until he comes back. So definitely ready to see that. That's good. It's going to be fun to see. It's going to be fun to see.
Well, if you break it down real quick, this is who you have. Their roster right now. I guess I should probably go into.
I don't know if Dinwiddie's still there because he can start at the point guard. He's still there. That's your point right there. Take over for Kyrie.
Well, they've got. They got Max Christie, Anthony Davis. They obviously have Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg. Obviously, Jaden Harden, Kyrie, Miles Kelly, Derek Lively, Caleb Martin, Dwight Powell, Klay Thompson, P.J. Washington, and Brandon Williams. I believe, was it P.J. Washington had just signed? Maybe I got the wrong. I think who just signed, re-upped the deal there.
Maybe it was him.
I thought it was P.J. Washington.
They definitely gonna have to get a guard in there to be able to play that point position for them. But Dinwiddie might have, because he was going back and forth from Dallas to the Nets.
Almost lost track of him.
Yeah, he went back and forth. Nets, he's just all over the place. He was even at the Lakers for a little bit.
Right.
He's a guy that can fill in and can play. And he can score for you. He can play defense. So he'll definitely, help soften that blow until Kyrie come back. But they got to get somebody on the roster to do that.
Yeah, they've got right now, they'll have Klay Thompson. This is what they have lined up this year. Obviously, Anthony Davis is there for this year and next year. Then he can opt out the following year. Kyrie has got an opt out, and he'll opt out of the $42 million deal and he's going to sign the 3-year deal at $119 million. So he'll get, and then I think he can opt out at the 3rd year of that contract.
Right. Okay.
Then they've got obviously Klay Thompson for this year, make it $16 million. He can opt out next year. So he's got a $17 million. He can opt out of that. So Klay Thompson's there. PJ Washington is entering in the final year, $14 million. I got to look him up because I thought he was the one that had just signed a contract extension. I have to look it up. Daniel Gafford is also making $14 million this year, final year of the deal. Caleb Martin is basically making $10 million next year and can opt out, so he's there. And then they got Naj Marshall, 2-year deal, $9 million this year, coming up, and $9 million the following. Max Christie is also on the books. Jaden Harden is making $6 million for the next couple of years. They've got a pretty good team. Derek Lively on the books for $5.5 million. Dwight Powell, $4 million. The point is, they've got JaVale McGee. I know, and he's a good guy coming off the bench.
I didn't know he was there.
He's there. He's only making $2.2 million this year and next year. So I mean, he's there actually 3 years. But the point is, Dinwiddie is listed here.
Is he on there?
He's on there, but I think he's a free agent.
Okay.
So
maybe they'll sign him though.
Right.
Because they need that guy that can come in and take that. He'll just soften that blow.
What I like about the Dallas Mavericks is they have a pretty good core roster with a great coach. I really like Kidd. I think he's a good coach.
Right.
Kyrie comes back. You've got Cooper Flagg. With this experience with the roster, this is going to be a good, solid team.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cooper Flagg will obviously really develop, and he doesn't have to be the centerpiece of the team, which he says is the best thing that could happen to him.
Right. And it is the best thing that can happen.
Right.
Everything is not on him yet. The eyes are going to be on him regardless, but it takes a lot of that away when you got Anthony Davis and you got all these guys, PJ Washington, guys that are experienced and have played, and it's going to help you quite a bit out there on the floor. Then you really can get kind of comfortable and play your game, you know. And he's a guy that can score, he can do multiple things, so.
Yeah, it looks like he basically, I thought he had, I could be wrong, but I thought that they were, here it is. They are currently working with PJ Washington, Dallas's 4-year, $88 million extension with the Mavs is what they're currently working with. So I think they're going to keep PJ Washington there. So I think they're pretty much going to work it out, and that's going to be pretty good. It looks like here's one. Naz Reid intends to sign a 5-year, $125 million with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
And they just showed a clip on it. It just showed a clip on it that he's going to stay there with the Timberwolves. Because we were wondering about them. We've been talking about him, that they better do something because teams are going to come after him quickly. So I think one of the things that kept him there for sure was, you remember they were fiddling around with Kevin Durant.
Right.
But Durant said he didn't want to go to Minnesota.
No.
And they said that, they didn't go over and try to, hey, come on, guy, come on. You don't want to come. Why would you want a guy to come play or on the team where he doesn't really want to be? So
right.
They didn't force that. They bring back their guy in Naz Reid. And I think so, because that guy made some big shots at big time.
Yeah, he made some. See, that's another team out west that's going to be interesting. And then with Durant going to Houston, That's like really what Houston needed. They needed that offense. They had defense. They've got a great coach again.
And I know,
now you add Durant into that mix. You have to figure they're now a potential contender.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A significant contender to compete in the West as far as potentially they could end up winning the conference. You know, they could end up in the conference finals.
Right.
Durant is like the missing piece to the puzzle.
They got rid of talent. They're definitely young guy. Can't pull his name right now, but he was a budding star for him. Definitely going to be a guy. And then you got rid of Dylan Brooks. You always want an edge guy. You love to keep an edge guy, but he had to be a part of the deal, so he was gone. The point guard I'm thinking of, he was a part of the deal that went to Phoenix, and he's talented as ever, but he went missing in a couple of the games, the big games when they needed him, and I think that really showed he wasn't ready for prime time just yet.
Yeah, this is what they said. It said they had Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and a number 1 overall pick in the 2025 draft and 5 second-round picks. That was the trade. So Durant went to Houston. The crux of the number 1 overall pick, but it was for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
And then they throw in the second-round picks.
And they said they could shoot threes, but their mid-range game was terrible.
That's where they hurt.
And that's the thing. Durant can shoot threes with his mid-range. He could do all kind of things. And the young guy, what they call him, Baby Jokic, I can't think of his name. You have to look up on the roster, but that, what was his number, 32 or 34?
Houston?
Yeah. He's a guy that is hard to stop in the post. And he can pass and he score. So that's his nickname is Baby Jokic. Because he does a lot of things just like Jokic. Now you got a guy, he can go ahead and do his thing. And you got a guy in Durant who can score all around the basket, everywhere, short, medium range. That's going to change that team big time.
Are you talking Adams? Steve Adams?
Not Steve, not the center. He's a young guy.
All right.
And I can't remember his number. It's 32 or 34. I can't remember what his number is. No, he definitely can't have 34. That's Akeem. So it definitely is not that. I just can't think of his name right now.
We'll look it up. We'll get to it.
But that guy is, I think they really strengthened their team.
Well, see, what's great with the NBA, especially the West, is the East, obviously, we talked earlier, with the injuries in the East, Halliburton being out for the year.
Which is sad.
With Boston, you've got his injury. Brown.
Tatum.
Tatum. Thank you.
Yep.
Tatum being out, Halliburton being out, that changes the landscape of the East Conference. Opens the door up if the Knicks stay healthy.
Yeah, because how long would Tatum? He could eventually miss.
Halliburton could miss the whole season.
Yeah,
because he tore and blew out the Achilles. A week ago?
Right.
You're June. It's a year injury.
They start practicing in October.
They start practice October. Really. He's not going to be ready. He may not play the upcoming season. And Tatum blew out his Achilles in May, so he's going to miss probably the bulk of the season.
Yeah.
The only question you have is, will they be out can they come back for the playoffs?
Well, right.
That's going to be, and how good will they be?
How effective? Yeah. That's the thing.
I mean, I
know they're great players, but the timing, the speed of the game, getting back to the pounding, the different things. I mean, they'll get out there and do it, but would they be the same guys? That's what we're talking about.
Remember when Rodgers tore his ACL?
Yeah.
And all these people kept saying he could come back, he could come back, he could come back at the end of the season.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right? He never did.
No.
And I remember them saying that, and I was listening to what LeVar Arrington was, LeVar Arrington's career ended on an Achilles tear.
Right.
Because he tore it with the Giants, and he said, he talks about it now. He said, he's still not right. It's, he said, no way I could play football. He goes, he knew after he tore the Achilles and the rehab coming back, he goes, I knew sadly, he pretty much knew his career was done.
Yeah. It's just certain guys.
And he was like, when they kept saying Rodgers is coming back at the end of the regular season, he's like, no. It's not happening.
Right.
He goes,
it just things happen just for certain guys. Like,
right. He goes, it's not going to happen. He goes, I know.
I only know of two. Well, I ain't going to say only two, but two guys that I know for sure. I never understood it. If you remember the guy, Ted Brown,
right,
running back for the Vikings.
Yes.
I think he might play for the Redskins too. But
yeah.
he the one that had tore his ACL so much that they just took it out.
Right.
He played without ACLs. And he still was able to perform in the NFL. And he was a good running back. Yeah. The other one is Adrian Peterson.
Right. But that was ACL.
Yeah, right. It's ACL, but when he did it, but he tore the MCL and the other parts. They said, but
no, he won't came back.
He came right back and he did rush for 2,000 yards. He was just short of getting to the record.
Now and this is the point, is it seems to me, as bad as the ACL is, I think the Achilles, though.
No, it's worse.
It's worse because
it's just that reason I said about him, it wasn't just ACL. When you blow the MCL,
the whole package.
The whole package deal, you don't usually come back
for
a while because of you're really tearing the entire cervical
it's the whole
knee.
Yeah, it's like the whole knee.
It's done. You're not coming back. But he came back and was better. Now some guys just are built a certain way. I don't understand.
Peterson's just and that's the thing, right?
Some guys are just, or you take two guys from a Super Bowl. When you look at Terrell Owens with his ankle, I don't know how he performed like that.
Well,
and Jack Youngblood, how did he perform like
with
that
a
for the Rams?
broken leg?
It was broke.
Did T.O. break an ankle? Did he break the ankle?
He broke the ankle.
Yeah, and how he came,
it wasn't healed. There's no way it was healed.
And he played in that and he played a great Super Bowl.
Great stats. And it was hard to cover.
Right. He didn't show up just to show up. No, he actually played he played well.
You look up the stats in that and the big plays he made in that. That's incredible. It only happens with certain guys. I don't know. Jack Youngblood, they showed the break in his leg. And he said, I'm playing the Super Bowl. You looked at that. There's no way he's playing the Super Bowl. He didn't just start. He played the entire Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers. How in the heck did he do that with a broken leg? And he was effective. That's the thing about it. He wasn't just a guy that we knew he was out there.
You were talking, because you brought it up, maybe it was Van Fleet that signed the deal. Anyway.
Yeah, he did sign. Yeah.
Okay.
He signed a big deal too. This guy's a big man. He's a big guy.
What did you say what his number was?
Yeah, at first I thought 34, but it's not 34. Maybe 13 or something like that. It's a young guy though.
Well, let's see. Now that we've got this going, and it's gonna be one of those things. It's like when you hear a song on the radio, then you hear it the rest of the day.
Yeah, you can't get away.
You can't get away.
You gotta find it.
Right. Like that song I heard the other, Gypsy Man. They call me the Gypsy Man. Remember that?
It makes you.
I heard that
around.
one morning, and the whole afternoon, that song was just
there.
Just there. Well, let me see. If you break it down, you've got there's a Terry Eason. No, it's not him.
He's going to be a big part of their team next year, though.
Nafali Dante, who's a center, he's 6'11", out of Oregon. Let's see. We're looking at there's Jock Landale out of St. Mary's. David Roddy, but he's only 6'4". Cam Whitmore, 6'7". He's only 20. Man, that's young.
Yeah, they're very. That's a very young team.
Oh, is it Amen Thompson?
No, not Amen Thomas. Even though
he's good.
Yeah, he's real good. Him and his brother.
I mean, they're really good. Oh, there's Jabari Smith.
Nope, not him either.
It's not him.
We're going to get it on the break.
We're going to get it on the break. This is going to be bothering me all day. Saturday morning sports page. It's the Gypsy Man, Dave Clark. Back after a quick timeout on Western Reserve Radio.
Someone's got to set the tone out there, boys. Someone's got to set it.
The station that sets the tone for Youngstown Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio. WRDB, The Scourge.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
If I could be you.
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Nina's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard or call 234-254-8532.
I'm ready to see them this year.
Me too.
Yeah.
Saturday morning sports page back. We figured it out. Dave Clark. I'll give you the honors.
Alpine Sagan. I'm close somewhere.
He's from Turkey.
From Turkey. That guy is so impressive around the basket trying to stop him. His passing ability is good. Doesn't get freaked out by guys trying to intimidate him. And he's actually physical. Because if you want to go physical, he goes right along with you with his physicality. With that team, Durant's going to be 37.
Yeah.
But the thing about the weird stat that I seen, I couldn't believe it. His stats has been better every year the last 4 years.
He can still play.
He can still play.
He can still shoot the ball, and he can still play.
So on this team, it's not a lot of running around and stuff he's going to be having to do. Just get your spots. Get to where your spots is.
They need him for offense.
He can rebound sometimes when he needs to. But my goodness.
The thing that hurt Houston was offense. They needed that offense. They just didn't kind of have it.
They didn't. And Jalen Green was a guy that they looked for to really step up. He did not. He's young, though. The talent is there, but he had to be a part of the deal. And they still got guys there that don't back down. So they lose Dylan. A lot of people
they
don't
lost
like
Dylan
him.
Brooks.
don't like Dillon. A lot of people don't like, but I always like a guy on my roster that has that edge like that because he brings a little bit of something different to the team from being just a team getting intimidated, and he'll bring a little bit of something to the team. But that team down in Houston is going to be interesting to watch.
They're going to be very
interesting. They got some money left too. So who are they going to bring?
Do you know?
They might bring some more people in.
And this is that best part. Like when you look at Houston, there's 30 teams. They have the 26th. They're 26th for highest payroll. They're at 141 million. That's what they're at. So
they got a lot of room. They could do something else.
Durant's salary, but still.
That's why it's no problem for them to cover that.
They can cover that easy.
Yeah. And they can bring another guy. They don't have to, it doesn't have to be a superstar, but another guy that, like, wow, we can definitely use this one. And you mentioned it, just got released. You said he got released from somewhere. I thought you just said, or maybe I just heard it last night. Who got released from a team and now he's just a free agent? I'm trying to think who the teams we were talking about today. Wasn't anybody in Minnesota? Was it somebody in Dallas? Well, we were talking about Dinwiddie, but I still thought it was somebody else.
You have to look up Dinwiddie.
But Dinwiddie would be a guy, if they needed extra help from that wing position or point guard position, he can go either way because he's 6'5.5", but he could play the point, but he also could play the wing. He's a guy that they could put on their squad if they wanted another veteran type guy. It's not going to cost them nothing.
Van Fleet. Now, this is interesting. He was supposed to make $44 million this year, but he can opt out. So he has agreed to re-sign with Houston, and he's going to give him a break because he's going to sign a 2-year deal for $50 million.
He gave him a big break.
Big break. So he's going to say, instead of making $44.9 million this year, which he could opt in, he's going to sign a 2-year deal for $50 million. So that cuts that in half, which is again going to open up, going back to their situation with Durant. That's going to help really pay Durant, and they'll still have money left over. So they're really managed. Houston Rockets
team player right there. And he made big shots too. Van Fleet was making big shots and big time.
He's really helped Houston out.
Yep.
And he's really giving them a break, but then they could pay Durant's salary, but then turn around and probably sign someone else, and they're still going to be way under, they don't have to worry about any like luxury tax or anything. But they have a young core team.
That team's going to be dangerous.
Well-managed team.
Yeah.
So they're going to be a very good, the West is going to be an interesting, because you got OKC, obviously, with that team, they're going to be back in contention. Houston now with Durant, you got to figure they're going to definitely be in contention for they can get into a finals easy. They could win it. Then you've got OKC with that core team coming back at you. Then the question is going to be, what's going to be interesting is the Lakers. What are the Lakers going to do? Because it looks like we don't know what LeBron's doing. I think we'll know June 30th. We'll know what LeBron has to opt in or opt out here end of June. So everyone seems to think he's opting in, but Reeves just turned down a deal with the Lakers.
Yeah.
He says, no, I don't want to sign the deal with the Lakers. I don't get it. Like maybe
when they talked about it, said it made sense to do that because he can, after, I guess, a certain date, he can get a deal. It would be much better, and it'll be longer term, be secured more with the Lakers. And I guess both of them are really on the same page about it. He doesn't want to leave the Lakers, so it was just that he didn't want to step under that contract.
Yeah, it says here he declined the contract extension that would have paid him $89.2 million over 4 years. He's currently on a 4-year, $54 million deal. So I think he's got, I'll look it up, but I believe.
Yeah, look it up because he could change and get that bigger deal as a free agent if he goes until July or August or something like that, and that's the reason he's going to let that one expire.
Well, then he could become a free agent.
Yeah, he'd become free agent, but he said he would re-sign with them.
And he's been in trade rumors.
Yeah, and they said as long as he's under that contract, he's going to continue to be in it too.
According to this, $89.2 million is the maximum he can sign with the Lakers under the CBA rules.
Right.
He said, however, considering Reeves' development over the past 4 seasons, this says he should command more as a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's thinking along those lines is he can get more as a free agent. We'll have to kind of wait this one out and see how it works out. Because back in 2023, he signed a 4-year deal, $54 million as a restricted free agent. That's also the most they could pay him back then, the Lakers. So I think the Lakers obviously want to keep him.
Yeah.
So he has to decide if he wants to go with the Lakers or not. But I guess with the Lakers, you're going to have Luka coming up on his contract. Mm-hmm. But what will LeBron ultimately do? And then does LeBron want to play?
Yeah.
Another year after this, or is this his last year?
Yeah, everybody's wondering, is this the last one, or is he going to stay until Bryce comes? I don't know.
So the Lakers have to draft him too.
Yeah, that won't happen. Well, I'm not going to say that because we done seen weirder things happen.
You know what?
We done seen the thing when we said there's no way the Knicks would get Patrick Ewing, and they did it,
and they got him.
Things was, weird things happen. So
that's the point that I don't. Yeah, the question I think I'm ultimately going to decide if you're the Lakers and you see we covered what Houston's doing, they got a lot better. And OK City, they're not losing anybody.
No,
they're the champs.
I don't know what Golden State is going to add to what they got.
Yeah, Golden State out there.
They're going to still play well.
We're talking about Dallas Mavericks, which could be kind of an interesting team when Kyrie gets back.
Yep.
If Cooper Flag really develops into a pretty good player, with that roster, the coach, they could be an interesting team out west in the play. That's a kind of team that may start off a little slow, but as the team plays together and Cooper Flag develops, and Kyrie then comes back.
Yeah.
They could be an interesting team in the playoffs.
And then don't forget the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Right.
Because if they got money, I think they do.
And they're going to sign
they did.
Naz Reid. They're going to sign him.
Who else are they going to bring in?
Well, and that's the other question. Minnesota's another team out there out in the West that's going to be an itch because they're young. I think they're going to be a very competitive team. Can they get, I should just stop myself. I don't mean that they are already a competitive team. Can they contend for the title? Because this is what you have out there. You have like a Minnesota Timberwolf team that can contend for an NBA title. They have the tools there. Houston Rockets, they can contend. OKC, they can contend. So that's 3 teams right off the top that you could say they're young, they're going to be back, they're going to be there. Dallas Mavericks are a funny team because they could be an outlier because with Cooper Flag and then Kyrie gets back, hopefully Davis stays healthy. That's a big if. But as this team develops, you have the coach who I'm convinced he's not going to the Knicks.
No, I don't think so.
Jason Kidd will stay there. But they could be an interesting team in the playoffs. So there's 4 teams. Now, if you're the Lakers, you have to get better.
You got to get something.
You have to get something. I mean, you can't roll out. LeBron is going to be a year older. You've got Luka, okay, but I mean, Austin Reeves is a good player, but what are you going to? You've got to get better. You've got to get a center. You let Rudy Gobert just own you in the playoffs. You got Minnesota just took you in 5 games. They took you out in the first round. If you're the Laker fans, you have to figure we have to do something because the West is so good.
They can't stay just like they are.
No, you can't roll the team out when you didn't have a bench in the playoffs.
You're going to have to do something.
So you have to go get a big man. You're going to have to go build the team, but you got to get better, and you got to get kind of a lot better.
Yeah.
Because the teams around you out West,
another team
has really, like I said, Houston, to me, with Durant, you have to talk about them as a potential title contender.
Yeah. Yes,
they were the second seed last year in the playoffs, got beat by Golden State in a very competitive series. They lacked the offense, but you just got that infusion right there. As long as Durant stays healthy.
That's what I think they lack.
Right.
It's that. But I'm looking at a team. Nobody's talking about them. What about Sacramento Kings? A team that picked up Zach LaVine. They still got DeMar Rosen. They picked up, what's the guard's name? I'm trying to look up right now.
Right.
Oh, what's his name?
That's right, because
remember they made that big trade and they brung in the guard. They brung him in from no. They traded somebody from Sacramento to they traded him from Sacramento to San Antonio. That's what I'm thinking of. He went to San Antonio to play with the big man there, which also is a young team. And I know the big man is having the shoulder problems.
Who's Sabonis?
You mean? I'm talking about for I was thinking he was at Sacramento. The guy I'm thinking of was at Sacramento. He went to San Antonio. And San Antonio is a very young.
Well, they're a young team, and again, they're also, San Antonio is also a team building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've got DeAndre Fox.
That's what I'm thinking of. He left Sacramento, came there.
He's in the final year of his contract at $37 million.
Mm-hmm.
So normally you think that they would sign him. They're going to probably. I'm assuming they're going to be working on a contract extension for him.
Right.
Because right now they're a young team.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Wemby there.
That's what I'm looking.
And you got Stephon Castle, another young player.
Yep.
So they're just putting pieces together. They may be a year away, but if they, like you said, DeAndre Fox is the question. Or are they going to sign him? Yeah, that's basically what are they going to do with him? I mean, you've got to figure they're going to be looking at some kind of a contract or a trade. Yeah, it said here that his contract's up this year. So the question's going to be, he will be a free agent after next year. He could sign a 5-year, $296 million contract with the Spurs in 2026 offseason next year, levering his bird rights.
Okay. So
it said here, or he could sign a 4-year extension for $229 million this summer with the Spurs. So that's where. So he could either sign now or wait a year, and then sign a bigger contract for another year. So he could either sign the 4-year $229 this summer, or wait till next summer and sign the 5-year $296 deal. which would be, it says leveraging the bird rights.
Right.
So, but he says he's excited about playing with Wembanyama, so I don't think he wants to go anywhere.
Right. I don't think so either.
So it sounds like to me the only question's going to be is when is he going? I think he's going to sign the deal with the Spurs. It's just a matter of question of when. Yeah. Wait a year, sign the bigger deal, or sign it now, get 4-year $229 or 5-year $296.
You know what? We talked about all those teams. Guess who we didn't mention? The Denver Nuggets.
Right. We haven't even
We didn't even mention them.
No.
That playoff series.
Right. With OKC, that
was like a championship.
That was
series.
a championships, yes.
That could have been the championship. That's how tough
That's exactly
and rough
that.
it was.
Yeah. We haven't even brought the Nuggets right.
We didn't even bring them up.
We're talking about Oklahoma City,
teams, young
talking about Houston, talking about, Dallas.
They signed somebody this year. You know they're going to change some things. That team is tough.
But they have the core team.
Their core team is just tough.
They have their coach now they want. And you still have people say he's the best player in the game, the Joker. You could argue that, but bottom line, though, is he probably is. But bottom line is they're in there. So you have a team. That team could, again, compete and repeat. They could go after an NBA title. They won it in, 2023.
Hey, good.
So they could actually win it again.
Yep.
Then you have Houston now with Durant. So now they're in the discussion. I wouldn't put maybe Dallas in the discussion to win a conference title yet, but they're in there in the mix with Kyrie coming back.
Yeah.
Cooper Flag,
get back.
A young team with the coach, an interesting team to watch. So you kind of throw them in. That's why if
I don't even know are we forgetting anybody? There's so much in that West.
If you look at the West, and that's why if you're a Laker fan, you're thinking to yourself,
they're in the middle of the road. They're in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, you got Minnesota. We talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves. So if you're a Laker fan, you're looking around going, we can't roll this team out next year.
Not what they got right
and
there.
We can't, not with what we have. We have to do something. And we don't even know if LeBron's opting in or opting out. But at this point,
so I don't see where Pelinka has any way of doing anything. They don't have no money anywhere.
Not if LeBron if he opts in. No. I don't know what.
I don't know what they're going to do because they really can't. When I look at it, they can get bench players, guys, fringe type guys that can help. But I'm talking about. I'm not saying that you got to have a big three because that doesn't work. That's not the formula.
That's not the formula anymore.
You need more guys that can come in and play big minutes. And I don't know if they can get a lot of guys like that. I don't know. They got to be able to come in and play big minutes and perform. Right now, they're in the middle. They down there, like 6th, 7th.
Well, look at here's what they have coming in next year. If LeBron opts into his $52 million, Luka's there with $45 million. He can opt next year. Luka's due 48. Opt in, opt out. But look at it strictly just this year. Now next year the team radically changes because you pretty much get the whole team will change next year.
Yeah,
they either have to make decisions. The only guy that they actually carry on, say Luka opts out, don't count him and Austin Reeves. They all have opt out contracts.
They're worrying about can them two function together. Not that they don't like each other, do their games match together.
They have to figure it out.
And they may not.
But when you look at the Lakers next year, you really have the only players coming back next year that have contracts guaranteed next year would be a Jared Vanderbilt. He's due $12 million next year. Then he can opt out the following year. And Shake Milton is due $3.2 million. And Bronny James is basically he can play. He's at $2.2 million. Those are the players that are technically under contract next year that can't opt out. their contract is there. Yeah. All the other players like Luka, Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect has got a team option. Okay, count him in, but that's it. So the only players really next year are Jared Vanderbilt, Dalton Connect, Shake Milton, and Bronny James. That's it for next year. Is that you have players, under contract. Luka can opt out. Austin Reeves can opt out. LeBron, it won't be under contract next year because he's at the opt-in, opt-out. I mean, unless he opts in and signs a new deal.
Yeah.
And he decides he's going to ride it out with the Lakers, and they're working on an extension where kind of like what Kyrie's got, where he'll opt out and then sign like a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal. I don't know if LeBron's going to do that. Right. Or what he's going to do. But the point is, if you look at the Lakers, you got to be figuring, and the guy just, they just bought the Lakers. Was it Wolf bought the Lakers for $10 billion? But the whole point of it is,
so there's no more Jeannie Buss.
He's keeping her around. He's going to keep her as the president. Yeah, that's part of the deal.
Okay.
She stays as the president. For how long, we don't know. But I'm just saying that if you look at the way the landscape of the Western Conference is, we've just talked about it.
They got a lot of work to do.
And you're a Laker fan. You're thinking, what are we doing? You see what Houston's done. You actually see kind of like with Sacramento's got a young team. Maybe Dallas now with Cooper Flag. You're thinking, they may be pretty good. Then you have OKC coming back, the champion, Denver, Houston, and Minnesota.
Yeah.
I mean,
long road.
You've got a lot of great teams or good teams, maybe great, but you have really good teams. And on paper, better than the Lakers.
Oh, way better, for sure.
And you have to when you look at the way the Lakers this year, after this year, you have to, obviously you think they got to sign Luka long term, and Austin Reeves. You think they're going to have to. You're going to have to.
You have to do it. Because if Luka's changed his mind and leaves, and then
because he can opt out and be a free agent. Luka could become a free agent and opt out after this year.
And LeBron leaves.
And LeBron decides maybe LeBron says, no, this is it. Right. I'm going to play one more year at $52 million, and I think I'm going to retire. Or
maybe the worst
he'll play $52 million, and he'll be a free agent next year.
Yep.
And he'll decide maybe next year what he wants to do.
And if they got the first couple of picks, and it's a chance for his son to be picked, he'll probably say, yep, I'll play one more season.
He'll say another year.
I would then. I'll play with both my sons.
Maybe that's what he wants to do.
It'll be terrible, but because they got to add out the rest of the roster, but he'll get to do something somebody's never done. I mean, that's unbelievable if that could happen. But
if the Lakers want it. See, the Lakers might have to decide they might want to move on.
Yeah.
From LeBron.
Maybe
because if they look at it their way.
I done heard this stuff about him going to Golden State. And I keep hearing it, and I keep hearing it, and I keep seeing the little thing, Steph. They're showing Steph, come on. Because I know they done became good friends. Is that possible? He still stays out that way, but he goes to Golden State?
Well, here's with Golden State. The problem you kind of ultimately have, I don't know if they could fit. Well, he would have to take less money.
Right.
If he wanted to go to Golden State, he would, I'm sure they could work it out, but he would have to take a lot less money because Curry's due $59 million this year. Jimmy Butler's $54 million. Draymond Green gets $25 million. Moses Moody's $11 million. And they're there. They're not going anywhere. Those contracts are, and Buddy Hield is $9 million.
Unless they're part of that trade of getting them.
So they would have to, I don't know. Well, yeah, would they, I guess they'd have to figure that out, opt in, then trade him or work that out with Golden State as far as, he can opt out and be a free agent.
Yeah, that's true too.
Or he opts in and then
he's free agent, then he can negotiate for whatever.
Then he can but Now, they're going to have restrictions on how much I think they can pay him with the cap situation because of what they have on their books right now. That'll be interesting to see if that's possible, because I've heard that the problem with that is he would have to take significantly less money to play there. Now, he might.
Right. You might.
We don't know, but that's the thing. This is what's going to be. I mean, if you're thinking, and we haven't even got into the discussion teams out west. We didn't even mention Golden State.
Right.
As far as, but they might feel like they have to do something too, because I don't think they're really as good as Oklahoma City.
No, I
don't think they're good as Houston now with Durant being with Houston.
Right.
And you got Minnesota.
And they had tough. I mean, I think if Houston was a little bit more experienced, they might even have beaten them this past time, but they just wasn't experienced.
Right, they didn't have the experience.
Yep. They're going to do something too, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Saturday morning sports page. Third quarter is in the books. Fourth quarter is coming up on Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Sherman Gillums Jr., Paralyzed Veterans of America.
For more than 70 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America has helped hundreds of thousands of veterans get all the benefits they have earned.
Al Kovac Jr., Paralyzed Veterans of America.
We provide one-on-one support tailored to your individual needs, including healthcare advocacy, benefit support, and career assistance.
For more information, call 1-800-424-8200 or visit pva.org. A public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Make that up in no time.
Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. Fourth quarter of the show is just starting. Yeah, we spent a lot of time going all around today.
Yep.
Got to the NBA West, I think is fascinating. The way the landscape of the West, even the East, but I think the West is more interesting from the aspect of the teams they have out there.
Yeah.
OK City's going to look to repeat. Denver gave them a real tough 7-game, which you could make the argument was a championship series with Denver, the way they went back and forth.
Right.
So you've got Denver still out there. Now Houston with Durant. Talk about the missing piece to the puzzle, the offense, and with a very young team and a great coach. He's a very good coach. That Houston coach is one of the best coaches. Udoka is one of the best coaches in the league. So you've got the coach there. Then you got Jason Kidd with the Mavericks. He's got Cooper Flagg. Plus Kyrie will be back hopefully in January from his he had the ACL.
Right.
They don't they're severe injuries, but they're not. The Achilles to me just seems take longer.
Yeah.
Then ACLs, they could sometimes, depending, but Achilles you don't come back from them right away. I mean, we talked about this earlier. You know, Rodgers, he was never coming back. He blew that Achilles out in September. Well, he might come back, you know, and he wasn't coming back in 3 months. He was 41 years old or 40 years old.
Yeah.
He wasn't coming back. But the point is, Kyrie will be coming off the ACL to get back in. So Dallas be an interesting team to watch. And then you have those other teams we threw out there. So the NBA West is what we like to refer maybe as the Wild Wild West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And that just glimpsed over the TV and it's showing some of the free agents and Miles Turner.
Right.
Julius Randle, Clint Capella is a top front court free agent. So where's some of these guys?
Right. Where's Capella going to go? Julius Randle is out there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, where are these guys?
Where are these guys going to end up?
Well, and we were right. LeBron is on there. He got the $52.6 million player option.
And well, then that's the key with LeBron is the whole question's going to be a lot of people are waiting, but I think that is going to happen very soon. I think in a day or two. I think he's got, June 30th?
Something like that. And I think he got to get some type of – they have to get a center of some capabilities. You know, Giannis, open for exploring best fits outside the Bucks.
Yeah,
that's something.
Here's the now this is it. This is here are your top free agents. James Harden. Mm-hmm. He's got a $36 million player option.
Right.
He'll turn 35 in August. Not sure, you know, he has a tendency to let down in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We've seen it year in and year out. But someone will sign him. Yeah. Someone will give him now. Naz Reid, Minnesota. He's got a $15 million player option. He looks like he's going to re-sign, though, with Minnesota. Julius Randle, who's got a $30 million player option, he's opted out that he'll be the free agent. Where does he land?
Right.
And then, now he can opt in and stay with the Timberwolves, Randle can, for the 1 year, and then be an unrestricted free agent. Miles Turner is an unrestricted free agent, the Indiana Pacers center. What does he do? Does he stay with Indiana, or is now he's a free agent? He can go anywhere he wants.
And I know he has to think, what do I want to do? He had a great season there, but he is a guy that's been in trade talks for the last 2 years. They're trading him. I know he had to get tired of hearing that. You're getting traded. Right. He might be a guy to say, you know what? I'm getting out of town. That's where the Lakers better step in because they do need a center. They cannot play basketball again with and the guy that they did bench because they were upset how he's playing the one game. He had a bad game. He still needed to play. I can't think of his name, the young guy that they had, the Lakers. They put him on the bench. Didn't even play. They had LeBron playing center. They had all kind of people playing center. You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I don't know. I mean,
what were they thinking? So, you know, they have to get a center.
They got to do something.
Yeah.
They have to. The Lakers have to get a center to compete out in the West.
Yeah, there's no question.
It made Rudy Gobert look like Will Chamberlain in the playoffs. Let's go to the phones. You're on the sports page. What's up?
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Dave. How you guys doing today?
Hey, Irish Mike. What's going on?
Doing well. Let's say June 28th. So we're right around the corner from the 4th of July. And, you know, and then NFL training camps open the third week of July. And most college camps open late July, early August. So actually, we're right around the corner from college and pro football returning.
It will be here before you know it.
Correct.
This time of the year, this is probably the fastest 30 days of the year, July. It disappears between 4th of July and Labor Day, that 2 months, I could almost say that 2 month time frame is the fastest of the year
it goes
by far.
quick.
Right. Because you're going to have high school football roll in August.
Yeah.
And that's
mid-August, too.
Mid-August.
What's the date on that?
August 22nd. The first night, Thursday night's the 21st. Some teams are open. Most teams open up Friday, the 22nd of August.
Okay, because I know we do a Thursday night game, so it must be the 21st is our first game. So
August, month and a half.
That's correct, the 21st. And then most of the scrimmages are, the week of the 11th.
Right.
Most scrimmages are around the 7th or 8th, and the other scrimmages are around the 13th or 14th.
Right. Yeah, so you're a little more than a month away.
It'll be here before you know it.
For the high school scrimmage, and then college football comes right like that, just jumps on just before you even know it. I mean, that follows right after high school.
Dave Clark will be able to confirm this. Right after the 4th of July is when at the high school level those voluntary workouts start to take place.
Yeah. Yep. You're absolutely right.
Right. I mean, it heats up right after 4th of July.
Man.
Yeah, Saturday, August 23rd is the first. I think that's week. That's week 0.
College game. Yeah.
Yeah, week 0. Week 0. I like it. Week 0.
Week 0 cracks me up.
You've got the first game at noon. Well, they've got Iowa State, Kansas State at noon.
I don't care. I'm watching it.
Yeah, there you go.
And the Fox game at 6:30 is Fresno State at Kansas, and then the night game is Stanford at Hawaii at 7:30, CBS. So you got basically ESPN.
And that's the first
noon.
games.
This is week 0. This is Saturday the 23rd, August 23rd. So you're going to have, you're going to have college football prime time Saturday the 23rd, August 23rd. You're going to have 2 games. Fresno State at Kansas, 6:30, Fox, and then 7:30, Stanford at Hawaii on CBS on network TV. And then the noon game is ESPN, Iowa State at Kansas State.
And that's something. That's early for those guys going at a conference.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when teams go over to Ireland or they go over to England or play a college game, they usually try to open up that weekend so they get a bye week the next week to get their parameters back to them a little bit.
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have Dave. Then you have the 30th, and Pat. You have the 30th, Ohio State, Texas, at 12 o'clock noon.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's going to be on Fox.
That noon game.
Yep.
And by the way, they approached Texas about a month ago or so to change it to Sunday night. Sunday night is my Notre Dame Fighting Irish against Dave Clark's Miami Hurricanes down in Coral Gables at 7:30 kickoff on Sunday night, August 31st, and they approached Texas about playing Sunday night, playing opposite Notre Dame Miami, and Texas said no, which they have the right to say. We want to play at noon on August 30th.
Right, and the Buckeyes wanted to play prime time.
Right.
Yes, and Texas said we're good. Which, hey, Notre Dame travels to Arkansas on Saturday, September 27th. I just announced a week and a half ago that'll be a noon kickoff, and 99% of the Notre Dame fan base is elated. Right. When you go on the road in a hostile environment, noon kickoffs are what you want. Let's be honest. Right?
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely.
When the last couple times Ohio State's gone over to Happy Valley, those have been noon kickoffs. What don't you want to do? You don't want to play Penn State at 8 o'clock at night.
No, you don't. Because everybody's been at it all day.
There you go. So
They've been drinking.
Always those things I always say to myself, those things work both ways.
Oh, yeah, no, I've actually, that's what Mike Golick used to talk about Philadelphia. He goes, you play those night games in Philly.
Yeah.
He goes, man, those fans, Mike Golick goes, they're getting lubricated all day.
Oh, yeah.
8 o'clock at night, forget it. He goes, those fans are like beside themselves. He goes, but it's true. You don't want to play the whiteout game at 8 o'clock at night. You want to play it at noon on Saturday. Right. You want to play it exactly because it's just the crowd is at noon. They're getting out of bed. They're college kids. They've been out. They get out.
Clark, when Notre Dame plays down in Arkansas and Fayetteville, that's 11 a.m. kickoff down
right. There. It's 11 a.m. They're not into it.
You're trying to avoid some of the heat. I mean, it's going to be hot, right?
Right.
Down south, but
right.
If you're going to go on the road in a hostile environment, you want to play as early as possible.
Yeah, 11 o'clock in the morning is because the heat. Well, like you said, there'll be heat. It won't be as bad as playing it in the afternoon. You got to jump, but the fans aren't going to kind of be into it at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Correct. Yeah, for lack of better phrase, sleepwalking.
Right. They'll be getting out of bed, having breakfast, coming over, and they'll be kind of like, all right, where's my morning coffee at? They're not where, like you said, 8 o'clock at night. They've been getting ready all day for the game.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm going to tell you too, gentlemen, I was talking with Marty, my longtime partner, the other day, and obviously we did the radio show for many years. We have friends across the country that used to email us or call our show. And so I'm hooked up with them, through technology. And I don't think I've been this excited about Notre Dame season starting since 1989. I think they have a chance to be really, really good, guys. I'm not predicting a national championship. I'm saying I would be surprised if they were not really, really good. I'm talking being out there with Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia's right there, staring them eye to eye.
Oh no, I think they'll be definitely. I think they'll be in the conversation for the national title. Definitely, this team coming back. I can't see how you're not figuring they're going to be they're in the discussion, especially with the 12-team playoff. They're definitely going to get in. They got the coach; he's got them going in the right direction, and got to the final last year. No one thought that was coming.
I know you hate this, Lucia. I know this, and I apologize before I say this. They've been on a recruiting run the last month and a half for the upcoming seniors this fall for the class of 2026 that they haven't been on in 25 years. They're battling the big boys and getting all those kids now.
Yeah.
Compared to 5, 10, 15 years ago.
That they would lose.
Yes. They would always be right there. Mom and dad would love it, but the kid not so much, and their kid's going to go to Clemson, or the kid's going to go to Ohio State, or the kid's going to go to Georgia. Well, they're getting those kids now.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they're talent. I can't be more giddy, more excited being a Notre Dame fan, and probably since Lou Holtz left in the mid 90s, to be honest with you. Like, they got the right coach at the right time. The kids like them. The parents like them. The administration's all on board and making football a king again. So they're building another new football facility after they just built one 4 years ago. They're building a brand new one on campus, going to be ready for next fall. All the arrows are pointing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because yesterday I was listening to Mad Dog Russo, and Mike Denbrock was on.
Yes,
your offensive coordinator. He's very good. But he was saying that he brought up the fact that he goes, we recruit these kids, they have to go to class and get an education. Like he said, it's not like, he goes, he just wants to make that known. He was like, I know people think, well, what do these kids do? They're transferring, blah, 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 portal. He goes, Notre Dame, we recruit players, but they are required to go to class and basically get a degree.
Yeah.
And a lot of people wonder, like, what goes on in other universities as far as, are these kids, going to class and studying and getting a degree? He goes, no, Notre Dame kids go to class here and work on actually, getting a degree.
And you have to do in-person classes. You can't do online courses.
Right. It's not that, no online. They have to go, they go to class like the old days.
3 years ago, and Dave, and I think it's a genius, and I know people don't like cliches sometimes, but Marcus Freeman created a cliche for Notre Dame and for recruits and their parents. And it's 2 words. It's called choose hard.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's what he said. Denbrock said exactly that. Choose hard. Yeah, that's it. That's their philosophy, is choose hard. Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, that's right.
And if we could put a roster together of ex-NFL players on Notre Dame's football roster, not only now but in the future, we'd have like all pros lined up everywhere, like Hall of Famers. It's unbelievable. But I think And my wife and I were talking about this the other day. She doesn't follow as close as I do. And I said, I think some of these ex-NFL players now in their 40s and 50s or raising their own families look back and saw so many people come in and out of their teams in the NFL. They were in the NFL 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years and saw so many people come and go that they realized it could be a short-lived life possibly for their kids. By the time they're 25, even if they make the pros, they could be gone very easily. And you got to have something to fall back on for the next 40 years of your life.
Right.
Yeah, well, that is what I mean. I think back of all the years, but I remember Woody Hayes said that when he was coaching Ohio State. He would say that. I mean, he said that all the time, and that's why he was always on his players to get their degree. And there were players that did not want to go back to the alumni weekend because they didn't have their degree. And Woody knew it, and they said he would come up to us and pester the living daylights out of us why didn't you get your degree? You better get your degree. He just never, like a pit bull. But that's what Woody preached, and he's not the only coach. There was all these other coaches that preached it too. I just use him as an example. But the point is, and he said exactly what you just said. He said, football, you don't know how long your career is going to be if you even make the NFL.
Yeah.
And you've got to have something else to fall back on because of all the sports out there, and we talked about it earlier, the contracts aren't good. They're not guaranteed contracts.
No.
So you don't have guaranteed. It's not like basketball and baseball where you have guaranteed money. Basketball contracts are unbelievable, but at least you've got big guaranteed money.
Yeah. I mean, they give you a little bit of money in the NFL.
But NFL...
But back in the day when I played, it's a cup of coffee.
That's right.
It's not much at all.
No, I remember years ago, Jeff Logan played for Ohio State. He was a running back.
Yeah.
And I remember him commenting on, I think he was drafted, in the 4th or 5th round by the Colts. And he couldn't believe how crappy the contract was.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do something with, the contracts.
Go and get something. No, you ain't getting nothing.
No.
Especially back then.
But the contracts in the NFL are okay, but they're not that good.
No.
Even your round, Shedeur Sanders drop into the 5th round.
Yeah.
He would have made more money staying in college than what he's getting paid as a 5th round pick.
Yeah, he's making a lot, doing a lot of different things,
right?
Commercials and stuff like that. But it would have been even more.
Right. If he stayed in college with NIL deals, he would have made a lot more money. But
same thing for the quarterback from Texas.
Quint Ewers probably cost himself a boatload of money because he had he had NIL deals paying a lot more.
Oh, a whole lot more.
What was he, a 7th round pick?
7th round pick.
He's making no money.
That's actually still I forgot who got him. Miami? I think it was
Miami. The Dolphins picked him up. Which may be a good spot for him.
Because we don't know how long Tua.
You don't know. Tua's one concussion away from not playing, sadly.
Yeah. But somebody's going to have to make him quit, too, because he's a guy that will.
No, he'll play.
He'll keep playing. Right. As long as they give him, yep, bill of health, you can play, he's going to keep playing.
But again, that goes back to getting a degree and have something to fall back on, especially with football players.
Yeah.
It could be a short-lived career, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And two, it show you how far we've come. But obviously we're in the NIL era and money's changing hands at every school now, and it is what it is. It's just 2025, and we've accepted that in college football and college basketball. But 2 national writers have said over the last week that there's kids actually being paid extra money by their schools not to take official visits to Notre Dame. Said, we still want you to visit there.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yes. So their kids are being paid not to take visits. And I'm sure it's happening in other schools, but they specifically said that they tell recruits on campus, a lot of kids want to take their visits and say, don't visit there. And we'll pay you not to visit there.
Wow.
They're afraid of losing kids there. He's on a roll, guys. I can't emphasize to Dave and Pat how happy I am with the program right now. I know I get on the air for years, 5, 6, 7, kill them once, Brian, this whole 9 yards. I can't be more excited. Can't be more excited.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
Every arrow is pointing up. He's got strong assistants or good coaches and great recruiters. The administration's on board. You have a head coach that's 38 years old and dynamic, and kids like him.
And he doesn't look like you want to go to NFL.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like it right now.
2 weeks ago, young man visited campus. Kari Adams, one of the top covered cornerbacks in the country from Virginia, Maryland area. And he liked Notre Dame a lot, but his mom was very leery about him going away. She was pushing Penn State, even going to Maryland, even though he's one of the top players in the country, because she wanted him close to home.
Yeah.
So took mom on her official visit, with the kids a couple weeks ago. That starts on Friday morning, ends up on Sunday afternoon. By Saturday afternoon, she pulled Marcus Freeman aside and said, "My son's coming to school here." And he goes, "Oh, we'll talk to your son about it." And she said, "No, you don't have to talk. He's coming to school here." And he wanted to come to school there, so there was no reason to talk to him. That's where he wanted to go.
Well,
and he verbally committed Notre Dame about 8 days ago.
And that's kind of what, just for the record, Jeff Logan was a 7th round draft pick by the Baltimore Colts in 1978. Now I know why I talked about NFL contracts. My God, back then, the 7th round pick, and are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, that contract was like, you probably, if you got lucky, you might get breakfast with it.
Yeah.
Per diem, but a lot of your players, it always goes, the parents dictate large extent where these young men are going.
Yes.
Isaiah Thomas talked about it when Bobby Knight recruited him, that Bobby Knight almost got to an altercation with the brother. And Isaiah's mother liked Bobby Knight and wanted him to go there to Indiana because she wanted to get him away from Chicago.
Right.
Where he grew up. It wasn't a good area, but you see that a lot, Irish Mike, with the parents. The parents are telling, like, I'm sure their parents are saying, "No, you go to Notre Dame because Freeman's going to make you go to class and get an education."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what Freeman, he went to Ohio State. He played with Tressel.
Right.
Played under Tressel, but Tressel was like a Woody Hayes disciple, like wanting the kids to get their degrees, and that's important. And you're seeing Freeman implementing that same concept at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Where he's telling these kids, telling the parents, your kids is going to come here, they're going to go to class, and I'm going to get them an education.
Yeah.
Next Saturday, Dave Clark, there's a young man from Arizona, wide receiver, he'll be a senior this fall. He's going to verbally commit to Notre Dame over several, North Carolina and Clemson, several other schools. His name's Devin Fitzgerald. Do you recognize that name, Fitzgerald, at the wide receiver position?
Yeah. Don't tell me it's his brother.
It's his son.
It's
Larry Fitzgerald's
Larry Fitzgerald's son.
Yes. Yeah, he's going to commit to Notre Dame next Saturday.
Yeah.
He's a wide receiver, goes in some private.
It seems like he doesn't old enough to be having a son, but he does.
I thought the same thing, my friend. I thought the same thing, but that's 100% true story.
Wow.
And a freshman on campus this year, wide receivers, a young man by the name of Elijah Burgess. You recognize that name? Plaxico Burgess' son?
Yeah.
So Jerome Bettis' son's a wide receiver there. I said, if we could have a game, Lucia, an alumni game of NFL players in their 40s and 50s who played in the league a long time, I'm the South Bend and we could beat anybody.
Yeah, they actually could.
Got a lot of them coming there. That's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I absolutely love college football.
Unfortunately, Marcus Freeman had a heart condition, which put his NFL career to an end at age 24, right? I mean, high draft pick, and just his heart had issues, and and the career ended at age 24. And so he got into coaching right away, and he's made a name for himself in his late 30s already.
Yep. He had determination, and he was a type player on the field anyway. If people can remember how he played at Old State, he was a determined guy.
4 years.
Yep.
They won a lot of football games and got to a couple national championships. Fell a little short against Florida and LSU, but you got there, right?
Yeah, but he's in Notre Dame. The NFL is going to come calling. That challenge is always going to be there. But maybe he'll stay just like he is, because I always thought him and Deion both, they would be trying to rip those guys away from college football.
Absolutely.
But hopefully both of them. I really hope both of them stay in college football.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't want Deion to come in the NFL. I want
that helps. He's got a young family.
No.
So he's got 6 or 7 kids, so that's a young family. So sometimes you don't want to I think the only college job that might intrigue him, obviously, if it was Ryan Day left Ohio State. You guys know that, and I know that. That could intrigue him.
Yeah, that would be the only thing maybe that
would be their first phone call now, Lucia, correct? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Oh,
If
no.
Ryan Day left, would that not be their first phone call?
Yeah, And let me ask you this: do you think that's the same thing with Dion? Would it be Florida State that would intrigue him, or not the same?
Oh, yeah. Dion would leave Colorado for Florida State in a heartbeat.
Or Florida State.
No matter what he says about Colorado, it's a bigger job and more prestige.
Yeah. No, I could see him doing that. I don't think either one is going to go NFL.
Yeah, I just
don't think Dion. It's just a different. It's a business, and you have a GM, and like I said, a lot of second guessing.
Yeah.
You get, again, you're not, when you're the coach of college, leave you alone. You're an NFL coach. The GM's got you. Why didn't you do this, this, and this? I looked at the play, looked at the tape.
Yeah, you guys probably go crazy. It might revert back to NFL mentality, start beating the heck out of you.
Thanks for the call, Irish Mike. Everybody have a great and a safe week. Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark on Western Reserve Radio.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem Sports Talk is on the iMedia1 Network. Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast.
Secure your spot now at CircaLasVegas.com.
Hi, this is Grace Remington for VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. NFL rookie props are live for 2025, and all eyes are on Raiders first-round draft pick Ashton Janty. The Boise State star racked up over 2,600 yards and 29 touchdowns last year. His rookie year lines are 1,075.5 rushing yards and 6.5 touchdowns. With light competition for touches and Chip Kelly calling plays in a run-heavy offense, Janty could smash his overs. Get a year of VSiN Pro for $199, plus the NFL Sharp Betting Playbook by Josh Applebaum. Use code BOOK at VSiN.com/subscribe.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Welcome to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hour number 2 of the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. I'm Tim Murray, live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas. Low scores all over the place at the Rocket Classic. So multiple record-setting performances on that course. Wes Reynolds will try to make sense of it coming up here in just a little bit as we get his thoughts there to jump on and how to bet the Rocket Classic. Also coming up later on in this hour, we will check in with Chris Miles, talk a little NBA, which we're going to do here in just a moment. But thanks as always to Brad Power. Some good stuff there from Brad as he took a look at the college football landscape as we get closer and closer. I'll give you some thoughts on the Big 12 and maybe a long shot to win that conference, courtesy of Chris Felica. We'll do that later on in this hour. And I put in a couple of win total bets as well earlier this week on the podcast. And if you missed that, I'll run through those again later on in this hour as we hit on our best bets. So it is UFC 317 International Fight Week. We'll get some thoughts on that in about an hour or so. Joe Fortenbaugh from ESPN will jump on the program and he'll give us his thoughts and best bets for tonight as T-Mobile Arena will be the site of UFC 317, 2 title fights there. And also Chuck Esposito will give us the latest from behind the counter on how those particular those fights are being bet so far this evening. Always when fights are in town, tend to get a little uptick in that betting handle. So curious to hear from Chuck Esposito on that. But earlier this week, Matt Humans and I were on the air as the NBA draft was unfolding, and no real surprises at 1, 2, 3, or 4. At 5 is where things got a little bit more interesting with Ace Bailey going to the Utah Jazz. There are reports out there that he is expected to show up in Utah, so we'll see how that situation unfolds. And we've got a clip from Brian Windhorst we're going to play here in just a moment. But let's start with Cooper Flagg. This was a foregone conclusion. It feels like for over a year that Cooper Flagg would ultimately be the number 1 pick. And where would he go? That was just the ultimate question, as that lottery was so highly anticipated. Teams like Washington and Utah were hoping that they would get the number 1 pick after being one of the worst teams in the NBA. At the end of the day, a team who traded away Luka Doncic and one of the worst trades maybe in the history of the league. ends up getting rewarded with Cooper Flagg. And now he goes down to the Dallas Mavericks. Let's hear from Cooper Flagg first, as he was introduced earlier this week, number 32 down there in Dallas, Texas.
Coming in just trying to learn and trying to get better every single day. And I think if I can do that to the best of my ability, I think expectations and pressures that other people, will put on me and our team, that will kind of work itself out. So, I'm just trying to come in and be the best that I can be and just win at the highest level.
It's funny. I asked Matt Humans this question on Wednesday night when we were doing the show. And I said, when you look at the highly anticipated college players, if you remove Victor Wembanyama, if you remove LeBron James, where does Cooper Flagg rank in recent years as expectations coming in as a rookie out of the college ranks? He brought up Zion. I would push back. I think Cooper Flagg, if you look at the prospect, now Zion, the hype, the dunks, all of that, but if you look at the prospect, I think Cooper Flagg is certainly believed to be a bigger and better prospect than Zion a couple years back when he was drafted ultimately by the New Orleans Pelicans. You could go back to Kevin Durant when he was drafted in, 2007. But remember, he was the second overall pick and not the first overall pick. Greg Oden, which ended up being, due to injuries, one of the more bigger busts of all time when you think about how Kevin Durant ultimately went second to the then Seattle Seahawks, Supersonics, and then shortly thereafter, the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Cooper Flagg, Naismith Award winner just a year ago at Duke, I think lived up to every expectation when he went down to Duke to be the nation's player of the year as a freshman. I think he exceeded expectations. Jason Kidd, not going to be the New York Knicks coach. He's going to stay down there in Dallas. His thoughts on his new rookie.
Sitting here listening to him, is it incredible? I mean, we're talking about an 18-year-old who has all the right answers and is talking about working out after this. But, when you talk about his gift, he's a basketball player and he's a winner.
There's no doubt. And, look, the jokes are we're flying. How does a team with 3 top 10 picks not win the national championship? Sure. That is a fair question to ask when you think about how it ultimately played out there for the Duke Blue Devils. But regardless, Cooper Flagg, a guy that is going to be and is already a significant favorite to win Rookie of the Year. And I'm not going to push back on that. Am I going to bet minus $1.95? No. Maybe similarly to what we talked about with Drew Dinsick in hour number 1 regarding the Oklahoma City Thunder. Is this a time now to bet Cooper Flagg? Is the number going to shorten? I remember 2 years ago when you had Chet Holmgren and you had Victor Wembanyama, because remember, Chet got hurt his rookie season, or his first year. His rookie season was technically his second year. And I ended up grabbing a ticket